All right. I'm gonna close my email too. So we're going to divide using long division. First thing I want to do is make it look like long division. So the thing you're dividing by, the x minus 2, the divisor goes outside. And then we've got x squared plus 3x minus 10 underneath. And when you do long division, you take just the first term, x, and you divide it into the first term, x squared. Okay. First term x divided into the first term, x squared. And how many times does x go into x squared? Not 2. Oh. X squared divided by x is what? X times. Right? X times x is x squared, not x times 2. So now, so that's divide. Then multiply, you're going to multiply that x, but you're going to multiply it by both terms out here. You're going to distribute it. So we'll get x squared minus 2x. So we did divide, then we did multiply. What's next? Subtract. So when I subtract, I personally like to add the opposite instead of subtraction. I like to add the opposite. So I do my subtraction, I change all my signs, and then I add them together. You just got to make sure that you subtract all the terms, not just the first term, but you have to distribute that minus sign to both. So there's my subtract. What comes next? Bring it on down and bring it on down. We bring down minus 10. And then we repeat the process. Start with the first term x and the first term 5x. How many times does x go into 5x? What times x is 5x? 5. I'm going to put that as plus 5 because there's going to be a new term up there. And we distribute 5x minus 10. And we subtract, which changes all your signs. And I get 0. And then there's nothing else to bring down, so I know I'm done. If there were more terms, I'd bring it on down, but there isn't any, so I'm done. So our quotient is x plus 5. So if I were to take x plus 5, multiply by x minus 2, I should get x squared plus 3x minus 10. All right? Okay, let's do it again. This time, this has some things I haven't told you about yet. The first one didn't have it. So we're going to have 3x plus 2 dividing into 9x to the 4th. But when you do long division or synthetic, which is coming up next, if you are missing any terms from x to the 4th all the way down to the constant, you got to put those zeros in. You have to have those placeholders. So I'm going to have to put in plus 0x to the 3rd, then plus 14x squared, plus 0x, and then minus 8. So anything that's missing, including the constant, if I didn't have that minus 8, you'd have to put a 0 in that spot. So now what do we do? Divide. And if you put 9x to the 4th over 3x, that might help you figure out what 3x times whatever is 9x to the 4th. It might help you figure that number out. What goes there? 3x to the 3rd. So that's divide. Then we multiply, so I'm going to distribute that. We'll get 9x to the 4th plus 6x to the 3rd. If you have picked the correct thing on top, then the first term will always be the exact same as the one right above it, if you picked the correct division on top. So now we subtract. And what comes after subtract? Bring it on down and bring it on down. And then we repeat. Divide 3x into negative 6x cubed. Minus 2x squared. And multiply, so we'll distribute it. Negative 6x cubed minus 4x squared. Subtract. Bring it all down and bring it all down. If you do not know how I'm getting a number or why I'm doing something up here, please ask as we're working through it. Would you help? All right, so next I'm going to divide again, but I'm using the 3x to go into 18x squared. That's going to be 6x. Then I multiply 18x squared plus 12x. And I subtract. Changes all the signs. Negative 12x. Bring it on down and bring it on down. And I'm already up space. I should have written smaller. Now one more time. Divide. 3x into negative 12x is minus 4. And we distribute to multiply. But I got to scoot it down. So I have room. I'm going to get negative 12x minus 8. And then subtract. And then I end up having a remainder of 0. So our quotient is 3x to the third minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 4. All right, next one. We're doing okay? Not going too fast? Okay. So anytime you're missing exponents, going from whatever the highest exponent is all the way down to the constant, you have to fill them in. So here when I set this up, and I have an x squared, it goes to minus 1, I'm going to put a 0x there as well outside of it. We'll put the 0x in. And then inside we'll have x to the third plus 9x squared plus 0x minus 5. And then what do we do first? Divide. So x squared and x third. How many times does x squared go into x cubed? X times. Then we multiply, and I'm going to multiply to all 3 terms. And we subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on down. Then repeat it. Divide x squared goes into 9x squared 9 times. So we put plus 9. Multiply that 9. Subtract. And I get x plus 4. Now I know I'm done. I'm ready to write my answer. Do you know why I know I'm done? Can't bring anything else down. So I'm done. That is the remainder. And you guys know when you did, like, way long time ago, when you took something like 7/3 and you changed that into a mixed number, you say 3 goes into 7 2 full times, and what's left over? You put 1, but you put it over the divisor of 3, right? We're making like a mixed number, and this is the same thing as 2 plus a third. 2 plus a third more. We're doing that, with this stuff. So we divided, we got x plus 9, and then we had a remainder of x plus 4, which we put over our divisor, x squared minus 1. And we add it onto our quotient. So that would be the full quotient. Remainder of the divisor. So now we're going to do synthetic division, and at the top of your paper, I have a line. And the line says, oh, I forgot what the line says. The line says, can only use synthetic division when. So you can't always use synthetic division, unfortunately, because synthetic division is way easier than long division. You can't always use it. You can use it when you can use it when the divisor is linear with a coefficient of 1. So the divisor is linear. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say it's linear? What do you think they're going to do? If I were to graph it, it would be a line, but I'm not going to graph it to tell. So this down here is the divisor. How can I look at that and know that it's linear? Katie? It's to the first power. So now if I graphed it, it would be a line, but I'm not going to do that. So I'll just look and say it's the first power. And then with a coefficient of 1, it has to be 1x to the first power. So if you have 1x to the first power, you can use synthetic division. Now, if you've forgotten how to do synthetic division, just like go with me on this, and then you'll see the pattern, and you'll be like, oh yeah, okay, you're good. I'm going to say things you might not remember right away. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take the divisor, x minus 3, set it equal to 0. Solve for x. I get x equals 3. Do you get the same thing? Excellent. Okay, we're going to put that number in a little hat box thing. Then we're going to take our polynomial that we're dividing that into, x cubed minus 11x squared plus 6, and we're going to write all the coefficients only, including any zeros for places that the x's skip. So we have 1x cubed, we'll have a 1, negative 11, we have a 0x, and then 6. So we write all those in the line after that. And we skip a small space, and we draw a line. You always bring down the first coefficient. Then it is multiply 1 times 3, put the answer underneath negative 11, and add negative 11 plus 3. Now we will continue this process. I'm going to take 8 times 3. Whoop, that's negative 8 times 3. I caught myself, sorry. Negative 24. Add that to 0, negative 24. Then we multiply. Negative 24 times 3, negative 72. Write that under, add that to 6, write it underneath, and we get negative 66. I'm going to box that up. So what we have is we've done division, and these are the coefficients for the quotient, the answer. But we started with a cubic power, and we divided out one of those x's. So when we have a cubic and we divide out one of the x's, we're now quadratic. Goes down power. So this first term is 1x squared. Then we have minus x to the first, 8x to the first. So then I get negative 24. There's no x's with that. So what is that thing that I boxed up? That's the remainder. So we put our remainder over the divisor, and we'll add that on. Since it's subtraction, I'll put minus 66 over x minus 3. All right, let's try it again. X plus 2 equals 0. X is negative 2. That's what I'm putting in the little box. And I'm going to take all the coefficients for the top 2, 5, 5, 6. Have a space. Draw a line. Bring down the first coefficient. And what are our operations? Multiply, add. Multiply, add. Multiply, add. Or make it. Started as a cubic, took out an x power, so now we have quadratic, 2x squared plus x plus 3, no remainder, done. Next one, we've got x minus 2, set it equal to 0. X equals 2. 2 goes in the box. And we've got a 2. And a, what's next? 0. Then a negative 3. Then a 0. Then a negative 10. And then a 7. Drop down the 2, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. Started as a 5th power, what's my answer going to start with? 4th power, and I have all the coefficients. So it'll be 2x to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd plus 5x squared plus 10x plus 10, and then plus 27 over x minus 2. You guys remember doing that last year? You were like, that's my favorite thing I did in algebra 2. Okay, but again, it doesn't work if you have like an x squared that you're dividing by. Or it doesn't work if you have like a 3x minus 2 that you're dividing by. All right, the last section says to use synthetic division, and we're going to find the value of g of 2. This is called the remainder theorem. And you did this in algebra 2 as well. This is saying that instead of, well, how would you do g of 2? Like, if I just said find g of 2, what would you do? Just plug in 2 for all the x's. This is saying you can find the same answer by using synthetic division. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that 2 and put it as the box. And we'll find all our coefficients. Remember about zeros. And the remainder theorem says, if you want to find g of 2 and you use synthetic division, the remainder is g of 2. So all I have to do is do synthetic division, and g of 2 is 14. So I also typed in my calculator so you could see if I actually plugged in 2, I got 14. So the remainder is the answer we're looking for. Personally, depending on the question, I could have done the synthetic division way faster than it would have even taken me to type it in the calculator. Or if you're using a non-calculator test or quiz, and you have to do G of 2, I don't want to do all that by hand. It was easier to do it that way. So it has advantages. How about this one? G of -4? We try it? Same coefficient, same question. We're going to do this without a calculator because I want to go over some just mental math strategies for fun that my second grader uses. So if he can do it, so can you. All right. So I got to this spot. And now I have to multiply -48 times -4. So if I'm doing this mentally, I'm going to pick something easy to multiply -4 by that is close to 48, like 50. What's -4 times 50? Or don't even worry about the negatives. What's 4 times 50? 200. But it's not 4 times 50, it's 4 times 48. So there's 2 away from 50 times 4. So it's really 8 away from 200. What is it? 192, is it positive or negative? And we add 3, we're out 185. We do this one also mentally. What is close to 195? 200, what's 200 times 4? 800. But it's not 200, it's 195, so that's 5 away times 4. So how much should I subtract off? So what is this answer? Is it positive or negative?
Negative.
That's -780. All right, what's -780 close to?
Almost 32.
So it's close to what? 800? So then 800 times 4 is 3,200? Yeah, I know. But it's 20 away, so 20 away times 4 is 80. So we're at 3120. I wouldn't give you like a huge one like that if it was non-calculator, but you could. So good strategies to know. My second grader can do this, so I know you can do it too. Right? Okay. So that's the lesson. We have a worksheet for the assignment. I'm going to pass that out. And if you are grading any of the past 2 assignments, we're going to do that first. If you're not grading either of those 2, then you should start working on this or maybe work on those other 2 assignments. You will have a quiz over 9.1 and 9.3 next week. Sometime.